to start this. Welcome to my little corner of the internet. Here we'll just have a space to talk about faith, fashion, lifestyle, and travel, but it's mostly just a channel for me to document life and watch how it blossoms. But if any of those specific topics interest you, then please give this channel a subscribe, hit the like button on this video, or drop a comment down below. You can also find me on my socials, and I would love to engage with you there and get to know more about you. And I just want to address the elephant in the room. I just quit my job. I can't believe I did that. Oh gosh. But this decision was a long one in the making for about a year now. When it first came into my mind, it was more of a passing thought, and my boss actually first encouraged me to apply for another job as a youth minister. She's just always seen that I've had this passion for youth ministry and serving in the church, as well as a creative side to myself. So, based on that encouragement, I actually reached out to a friend of mine who works at my home church and asked just questions about like what it would look like to be a youth minister, what are the qualifications that I may have been missing that I needed, and just some other general questions. But little did I know that 2 days before I reached out to my friend, the church actually hired someone, so the position was filled. I put that on hold, and I wasn't exactly like ready to leave my job yet, so I didn't necessarily say I was quitting at the time, so I just kept working. 6 months later, the conversation opened up again. Because at this time, I was just going through a difficult time. My mental health wasn't at its best, and I was just feeling a little bit burnt out. And so I asked for a decrease in hours, just I think 1 day less, probably, something like that. So I worked that for a while, and then my role had changed to be more hands-on versus the admin side that I was working, because that kind of also threw me for a loop and had to do with like how I was feeling before. So we changed that up and I was more hands-on. But then more recently, like I think mid-August, my role had decreased even more dramatically. So I was only working 12 hours a week, and I just knew I couldn't like sustain this any longer. But I'd also like faced a lot of time to rest that I wasn't used to. I had so much free time that was new to me. And over the course of those days, I had just encountered like a new shift in my heart. Like my disposition had changed overall. I'd realized I was happier going to church after work, or trying to Zoom to church to go do volunteer stuff, or just being at home with family. Just because over the past year, my family and I have gotten pretty close, and spiritually we've grown together, which has been something beautiful that I've prayed for a long time. And given that time to rest, I think the Lord was just really inviting me to be still. And I think that he's done that with a lot of us, maybe for you. But when it came to this whole discernment process of leaving, I never felt peace. I always felt like there was a tug of war, as my boss had coined it. But it wasn't until very recently, when I had all those days off, that I'd felt peace, and I'd realized that could only come from the Prince of Peace himself. So that following Monday, I took the plunge and I told my boss that I think it's time. Before I'd actually walked into the office and talked to her, I kept racking my brain and reimagining the different ways the conversation would go, but the outcome always ended up the same, that being that I would be resigning. So my boss gave me the option to either quit that week or work another 2 weeks like the typical way of resignation, or until the end of this month. So obviously I chose the end of this month, and it feels really bittersweet. I really have learned a lot about myself in the process, but now it's just time to move into the next season. I don't have really anything lined up, so I've just been taking this time to just be still and listen to what God is calling me to do. Right now it's mostly just trying to build this channel up and be more consistent with it. I've had this channel since I was in high school, which feels like so long ago now. I just feel more convicted in who I am and who I'm created to be, and I'm not as like scared anymore, I guess. So I'm mostly just going to use this as a way to document how life unfolds and what God is doing with my life. Another thing that I have been doing is my mom forced me, quote unquote, forced me to apply to some jobs at her work, which I might take if, it comes down to it. Right now I'm fully relying on unemployment, and my mom unfortunately. But something also is in the works, and that is actually church again. I've been able to volunteer more. I'm getting experience in digital marketing by taking over the social media accounts at 2 churches that I serve at. So I'm kind of preparing myself because I figured I think I would like to work in social media management someday as my full-time job. And so this is a good stepping stone, given that my degree is not related to any of that, because I graduated with psychology and I need more experience in order to acquire a job position in social media management. On top of that, my friend who I first reached out to 6 months ago or a year ago actually told me that there might be an opportunity for me to intern as a youth minister. So if I do plan on working in the church someday, I'll have a leg in or a foot in the door. And I actually enrolled in a religious class. So right now it kind of feels like starting over again, but I'm laying the foundation down for these pathways that the Lord is seemingly opening up for me. And I just think it's interesting. All this time, He's been really working, and I've been really stubborn and just digging my heels into the ground. And now that I'm ready, it's like these things are being offered. And yeah, it just goes to show, like, God really knows what He's doing. And I know that, like, that's kind of an obvious cliche as a Christian Catholic. I'm a stubborn kid. I'm a stubborn person sometimes. I'm not really good with change all the time, and I'm not always good at staying still or letting go of things. And so to see how in this like year that I've been kind of at this tug of war or discernment process, however you want to call it, the Lord's really been at work. Because as soon as I'm leaving my job, all these opportunities that weren't available before are suddenly available now to me, specifically to me. Like my friend told me that I forget her position title, but she's basically the hiring lady. And then our head priest, they both are really excited that I applied, and they've held onto my resume. And there's just a lot of talk about me potentially being more on deck and more in the trenches of the work of the church. So it's just exciting stuff, and I don't know necessarily if that's where He's leading me, for sure. My spiritual director always says that you're never in your vocation until you're actually living it, so the discernment process never really ends. It's just going to be a fun ride, and I am excited to bring you along with me. And maybe this title is a little clickbaity, I don't know, but I just hope that it brings some encouragement if you're in the same boat as me, or if you're younger and you're just feeling lost. Just know, like, no one really knows what they're doing. We're all just kind of, taking it a day at a time, especially in a season like the one we're living in now. And even at 24, I turn 25 in like 2 weeks. I am still figuring out my life. We can either sit and mope and be scared, or we can take a risk and keep moving anyway. And that's what I'm choosing to do. So if you liked this video, if you'd like to hear more from me, maybe if you have any questions about my faith, or if you just want to know more about me and want to follow along, I'm good to that too. Please give this video a like if it has helped you or spoke to you in some way. And maybe if you're a friend that knows someone who needs to hear this and needed to see that they're not alone, I'd love that you share that with them too. From another sister in Christ, let me know how I can pray for you, and I will see you in the next video. Pax Christi.